You can do it, little letter.
Hey,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and it is the next in our deep dive series. Tonight, we tackle the Stefan Feld classic. I don't know, does it count as classic? Is it old? Yeah, it's classic.
It's a classic.
It counts. Castles of Burgundy from the Alea Big Box series is on the block tonight. But first, let's introduce our panel. We will end up having the small straight of co-hosts. I'll explain that in a minute. But starting from my right this time, Mr. Patrick Hillier. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, how are you?
I am well. I'm still slightly salty at you for getting more than half of the votes in the Fantasy Board Game League last week, but that's all right. Fine.
Yeah, that's all I got going for me.
Yeah, I say I got the W, so I'm gonna we'll let it go this time. So there
All
you
right.
go.
Vote AP nuts.
Boo. Patrick, you're awesome. And next up, we have Miss Kimberly Revia. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi.
Hi. I'm excited you're on this one because this is your number one game that we're going to be talking about tonight. So this will be good. This will be good. And special guest and former Feld fanboy, I have been told. And we'll have that conversation in a second. Mr. Daniel Newman is here. Also our podcast producer. I'm sorry. Podcast producer for the Cubist, Mr. Daniel Newman. Hello, Daniel.
That's me. Don't do things.
Hi. And last but not least, sailing in just under the buzzer, Mr. Brandon Kemp. Hi, Brandon. Can you hear us?
I'm on what?
Yeah. Which link did I click? What did I do?
I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, boy. What's going on is we are going to deep dive Castles of Burgundy, sir.
Burgundy.
I like it. But first, we're going to talk about games we have played recently. Kimberly, I know that you had a game that you were eager to talk about. Hint, hint. And by eager, I mean prepared.
2.5 seconds ago. I barely made it into a chair before we went live.
You did great. I believe in you.
I mean, I know the name of the game. I don't have my BGG pulled up.
Matt hasn't said it to you yet? Okay, we can wait.
No, I BGG it, but skip me and come back.
Okay, fine. Does anybody else have anything they're really itching to talk about? Because otherwise, I'll talk about Zhongguo.
Ooh, I want to hear about Zhongguo.
Let's talk about that.
Zhongguo.
Okay, let's talk about Zhongguo.
I'll just talk about one game this week.
Yes. Zhongguo is the What's Your Game title from 2014. This is the Chinese-themed, for lack of a better term, area control.
Sure.
Ish kind of thing. It's really hard to
like worker placement area.
It is not worker placement.
I mean
that is not a thing that it is.
Or no, you play cards, not people.
Yeah, it's a card.
I'm trying to read and brain at the same time. It doesn't bode well.
Okay, yeah. BGG calls it area control, area influence, and hand management. I think that's appropriate.
Hand management is good for it, yeah.
Yep. Designed by Marco Canetta and Stefania Nicolini. Like I said, published in 2014. It's a What's Your Game title. Asmodee's done it, of course. Okay, so I have played this game. This is technically my second play. I played it Wednesday. However, the first play was a year and a half ago, and I barely remembered anything. So I was almost learning/teaching it all over again. I felt like I knew it, and then I definitely didn't. And I jacked up one really important rule. But we realized it 2/3 of the way through the game, kind of said, okay, we're just going to kind of roll with it. And then a friend of the show, Paul Grogan, who does all the instructional videos for What's Your Game, I messaged him and I told him about what we screwed up. And he said, oh, yeah, that gets messed up a lot because it's a graphic design issue. So don't feel too bad. And that made me feel a lot better. So short version, it is area influence. You play numbered cards, and any card can be used to take any action. But if you play the cards to your tableau in front of you, then you might get bonus actions later in the game. And if you play them out to the center board is how you take the main actions. And so the idea is that you're trying to leverage the numbered cards to be over or under the previously laid card, which will trigger your tableau based on what action you take. And then you can put out your little wall meeples or your governor meeples or your palace meeples or whatever into the different locations on the board, and use those things to score either majorities or just wads of points or trigger end game scoring opportunities. That's the best way I know how to explain it. It is, see, now I thought it was one of the most brain burnery of the What's Your Game titles. I think of it as heavier than anything else I've played in that line, with the possible exception of Madeira. But I don't know that everyone would agree. I feel like it's one of those games that on the second play it would get a lot easier, but I really liked it. Have any of you played this besides me?
I love Jonquo. It's
You do?
fantastic.
Yep, I played it. I've even played it with Daniel.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Gotcha.
He's over on my computer. He's that way.
Close enough.
Might
Close
not
enough.
apply for everybody else. I'm pointing at Daniel.
There you go. Poor Patrick's head. Anyway, yeah. So on the Cubist scale, I am going to give Zhanguo a play it, not because I don't think it's excellent, but because the graphic design issue which is the board makes it look like you can only place a maximum of 3 governors per province. Because it has 3 little spaces for governors and it has 4 spaces for palaces. So because one of them is limited, it is easy to make the assumption that the other one is as well, and it is not. That's a graphic design fail that I think is going to catch, and like Paul said, it catches a lot of people. But I really like the game. I think that I would love to see a second edition with that addressed, get reprinted, would make me very happy. And that might just be me, but I don't know. I really like it.
I got it in a trade, actually, at Origins. I traded Anachrony for Zhanguo and $50. And it was one of the best trades I ever made.
So you win.
It was so good.
Anachrony sounds awesome, but $50 cash, which would then buy you any other good game.
And Zhanguo.
And getting Zhanguo, you did just fine.
Hard to get. Yeah, that's a good get.
No, so good.
Just fine. And yes, by the way, in the chat, Kimberly got the spelling right. Although I see the G inside Zhanguo capitalized fairly often, which it should be. Okay, so there you go. That's the only thing. So there you go. All right. So for me, Zhanguo, you know what? No, I'm going to change it. I think it's a buy it.
Yeah,
I'm changing my rating. The graphic design thing pisses me off because it's a dumb mistake to make. But
can I add? It might be a buy it, but it's also incredibly out of print.
Yeah.
One of us tried to buy it for somebody else's birthday, and it's real hard to find.
It's a trade Anachrony
for it.
It's a trade Anachrony for Zhanguo and $50. That should be on the back of your shirt.
No
category.
On the next one.
Yeah.
We need to get people to buy more of the shirts that are already there, sir. We're not doing Zhanguo and $50 shirts. Damn it.
Right.
So, all right. Who's next? Somebody volunteer. Go.
I could go.
Go. Do it.
So I played Arkwright yesterday.
Ooh.
I heard about that.
I've talked about this one before. I'm here. I'm excited for this. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No. But I want... Go. I'm excited for this.
So Arkwright is a very heavy economic simulation game. It's the best way I could think to describe it. I loved my play of it. Yeah, it is. The giant spreadsheet that takes 4 hours to play. I loved it, and I will never play it again.
Really? Oh, because you don't like long games, though.
It was too long. Like I had what I felt like I was going to get out of it about halfway through.
This is valid. We weren't even halfway through, and he was like, "I could be done."
Which one did you play? Spinning Jenny or
no? We did waterframe.
We did
waterboarding.
Yeah, waterboarding.
Yes, waterboarding.
I enjoyed like almost every minute of it, but it was I had what I was going to get out of it 2 hours in. I was like, I could end at this era and be fine. But no, super good. Let me mention, because I had it up, designed by Stefan Risthaus, originally published by Spielworks, and then reprinted in the States by Capstone Games.
Capstone, yep.
Good job, you.
Thank you. I looked it up in advance. Yeah, no, it was super cool. I don't feel like it's a game I could have played a year ago, just because I think you need to play a lot of heavier stuff in order to handle it.
I agree with that.
But yeah, so we played Arkwright for 4 hours, and then I got in a car and drove home for 6.5. That was my day yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
It took 6.5 hours to get home. I'm sorry.
Yeah, apparently driving home to New York City on Sunday night is a really bad idea.
I've never been to New York City, and I probably could have predicted that.
Yeah, no, it should be a 4.5-hour drive.
Ugh,
yes,
ick.
It should only take 4.5 hours to get.
And with my stops, I stop frequently. I can do it. It's like 5, but
It's
yeah, there's an
valid.
extra
It takes a lot.
hour and a half of sitting in traffic, not moving, which was.
And Daniel has a very small bladder.
I have a very small bladder, and I drink cold beverages to stay awake while driving.
Sure. Sure. All right.
So much sparkling water.
A lot of sparkling water.
So much tangent. Daniel, on the Cubist scale, buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it for Arkwright.
If you like heavy games, then definitely play it. If you don't want to play a game for 4 hours, then forget it.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
That's fair. That's fair. Quick teaser, by the way. Clay from Capstone Games will be on the show next week. Next week is going to be our episode on heavy games. So hopefully he doesn't watch this one where you give him
I know Clay. That's not.
Clay will be fine.
If he's watching Clay, sorry. But.
What was funny was I tweeted basically what I just said, because I tweeted it while I was in traffic waiting for the stoplight.
Oh my God, Daniel!
It was like a 3-minute stoplight. And then Uli from Spielworks started asking me questions, and I was like, "Oh no,
oh boy!"
But I think they're aware of the
Well,
the ins
Very
and outs of
niche.
that
They
game,
know that.
so.
Clay and I were both guests on the Botch Games podcast a number of months ago, and we talked about how those games like that are sort of an acquired taste, but once you acquire that taste, it's fun to be able to dive head deep into games like that, and it's really a style kind of thing. So I got you.
Well, and that's where I am with like all I want to play now are what's your game games, and
Wow.
like stuff at that. Like those are my favorite thing. And Arkwright is just a bit farther down that rabbit
Daniel's
hole.
so finicky.
Sure.
He has a new favorite game every week.
So in 2 years, you'll be changing, and you'll have somebody different that you're.
It's all
It'll
going
be
to be
18XX.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
There you go. Perfect. Kimberly, have we waited long enough?
Hillary. It took me like 4 seconds. Yeah.
All right. I'm just
Hi, Hillary. Fast Track.
fast track.
I made Matthew buy this when we were Harry Potter costume shopping for $3 at the Goodwill last week.
Right.
Best $3 spent. We've definitely gotten the $3 worth out of it. It is a flicking game where it's a rectangular board with little walls, and there's one center hole, and you flick these wooden discs or not flick them. You pull this thing like a rubber bandy thing and shoot them.
Mhm.
You're just trying to shoot all of the discs to the other side and keep them over, but you're both doing it at the same time. 10 discs total. It's ridiculous. It's fun. I'm very good at it until I get down to only needing to shoot one last disc. And then I can never get that one in.
Then it all goes to hell.
It quickly goes from, I've just got one to I need 9 more. And some charming boyfriend periscoped it last night.
Outstanding.
I remember there's a video of this somewhere.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's designed by Jean-Marie Albert, publisher Blue Orange Games, it looks like. And yeah, definitely well worth the $3.
Yeah.
I think it's probably like $20 normally.
Well, Amazon currently has it on for $16.
Oh yeah, that's a good deal too.
So that's still. So there you go. All right. So I does that make it a buy it?
It does make it buy. I think even Daniel had a little bit of fun with it. Daniel?
A little bit. A little
bit. And Daniel's not into the dexterity games or fun.
That's not true. I like dexterity
Or
games.
fun.
I like dexterity games, and I like fun as I define fun.
We made a joke before we went live on the air that there were pictures of Daniel unironically smiling in joy, which was a very exciting moment for the internet at large.
It happens.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Not all surly all the time.
Right. Well, that's true. That's true. All right. Patrick, you got anything big you want to talk about?
I do.
Good. Go.
I went to Buckeye Game Fest 2 weeks ago and dusted off an old game that I saw on Matt Roy's birthday wish list. So I thought I'd talk about it. It is the Golden Ages. I picked that. I played that. I demoed it for Stronghold at BGG, my first BGG 2 years ago. It was a new house out of Essen, and I also got the expansion. So I played it once with my friend Jim, 2-player, and then I played it with the expansion, the Cults and Cultures expansion, which adds a whole bunch of new stuff to the game. 5-player. Quick thoughts are the base game. Well, first of all, it's a really light, short Civ builder. So I'm a big fan of classic Civ builders. We're talking Advanced Civilization and Nations and those sorts of heavy, long Civ games. And this plays like in an hour and a half. So it gives you that, it scratches that itch without taking super long like you're used to. So you do exploring, you do a little bit of light military. It has a tech tree, all the things that you love in a game like that. But anyway, the base game I really like a lot. You can get it really cheap nowadays, like any Stronghold game. After a year, after it goes on half sale, and I only played the expansion for the first time, and I'm not sure I'm sold on it. It has some things that it added that may or may not have broken it. I don't know. I need to test that a little bit more. So the base game, if you're into civs, is definitely a buy it. I'm not so sure. I need to play the other one some more.
I distinctly remember when this game was first released, and I remember thinking two things. A, cool, it's a new Civ game. That's fun.
Yes.
B, it's ugly as sin.
Yes.
I remember thinking that is one of the ugliest games I had seen since like Kingdom Builder level.
That
ugly.
cover art. Whew.
It's the cover art, and the art is on the cards, but the basic game itself isn't that bad.
No, the map and all of
The
that.
map isn't too bad.
You guys were playing that this weekend, right, Kimberly?
Yep.
I walked by.
It
It just looked like an old game.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, that wasn't the Stronghold edition either, though, Daniel.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That was the older, but
Okay.
still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's better than it looks.
oh, it's a Quinid game. I think the original.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was the
Mhm.
Okay.
Anyway, no, it's a good game. It's really solid. I mean, whoever I talk to about it says, yeah, it's a solid little game.
Yeah, I need to try it. I'm a big sucker for Civ builders and games of that ilk anyway, so I really just need to try this one.
And we were talking the other day about, oh man, we need to have an all-day game of advanced Civ, and well, maybe we can set aside a Saturday to do that, and that whole spiel. Whereas, we busted this out as a, hey, let's play this before somebody shows up game, not the thing where you have to plan a whole day around it. Not that I don't mind doing that. I'm just saying it's great to have that as an alternative.
I'm really hoping I backed Tasty Minstrel's Flow of History.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that sort of weirdly scratches that whole lighter Civ building kind of thing. I don't know, and maybe it's too light, and maybe it isn't enough Civ in what I'm hoping for. But I guess that's the game that I'm sort of hoping fills a niche like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Brandon, did we give you enough time to decompress since your 11th hour arrival? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? What did I talk about last week?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Dogs? No.
I didn't talk about.
You talked about the weird game.
The weird.
It's like an abstract and weird game that I've never heard of.
That's right. Okay, I know what I talked about then.
The GIF title Zerts, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
And I won't be able to remember the name of it now because it's been 2 weeks. Anyway, so that solves my issue. I'm going to talk. First off, I'm going to say we played a lot of Spy Club. You should go check out the Kickstarter. It's a lot of fun if you like co-op family style kind of card games, basically. Really fun theme. Into that.
Okay.
But we played Senshin again.
Yes, this is.
And I played it with 2 players this time with Corinza. I hate to call it a puzzle, but that's what it is more so than a game. I think it's a game just in that you're getting points because you're doing puzzly little things, which kind of matches what we're going to talk about with Castles of Burgundy. I think a little bit. But Senshin is fun. It's basically you've got 5 dice in your tableau. You're trying to add robots to it, and you're adjusting, making quote unquote calibrations to those dice, and you're trying to match what the robots tell you that you need to have to gain the points, right? Fairly simple. But what it comes down to is you're constantly trying to balance those dice and kind of trying to make them work. And so it kind of bogs down the game a little bit. But it was fun. It has fun art. It's from Renegade, so, it's got quality production.
Designed by friend of the show, Alex Kevern.
Alex Kevern. And I've forgotten the artist's name. And I'm going to kick myself for it because I wrote the damn thing a couple days ago.
Well, on the bright side, it's Chris Ostrowski because I may have the BGG page open right in front of me.
Thank you,
I was just doing the same thing, Bill.
for saving me. My qualm with it, and it still is the price.
Yep.
And what I paid for it to get it. And it's my own damn fault for doing so, knowing full well I could get it for $20 cheaper online. But I paid $60 bucks for this nearly. And it's really just 60 cards, maybe, some cardboard and custom dice.
Mm-hmm.
Now those custom dice are beautiful. They're really cool. But they're just D6. It's completely unnecessary. But you know, who wants to sell a game that just has D6s for something like that?
Well, okay, but now let's compare it to Flatline as an example.
Flatline is cheaper.
Right, it's cheaper. It also has somewhere to the tune of 60 cards. It also has custom dice, and it has big, oddly shaped punchboard everything.
Yes, it
plus
does.
the weird spinner board thing.
Yep, it
so
does.
Then there's the metric, right? Like same publisher, same style, not same style of game, but I mean,
yeah,
you know, same style of production, maybe even more, but for less money. It makes you wonder. I don't know.
It does.
It's overpriced for sure, but I like it.
So what you're saying is that it's a buy it, right? It's
No,
a buy
it's
3 copies of it. Is that what it is?
Like 3 copies of it. It's a find it cheap online if you can and buy it that way. Don't go to your local game store. I'm sorry, local game store people, but it's overpriced. Don't buy it there.
All right, that's fair.
But yeah, it's definitely a play it if you like those kind of games where you're constantly adjusting, and it's basically just a puzzle you're figuring out.
See, and now you say that, and I think this is going to segue nicely because I wonder. You said that you feel that Castles of Burgundy is the same way, and I think we're going to have some disagreements across the board on this one because
sure.
I think because we Kimberly, this is her number 1 game that we're about to talk about today, and I think we've hit on. Let's see, we've done my number 1. We're doing Kimberly's number 1. I don't know what your number 1 is, Brandon, so we'll have to figure out a way to do that at some point. But all right, so let's get into the deep dive. Castles of Burgundy. This is the Stefan. Yay! This is the Stefan Feld classic, originally published in 2011. So it barely meets the minimums that we set for the deep dives. We said when we first started doing these deep dives that the game had to be at least 5 years old, and this one's 6. So it slides in just under the buzzers. Of course, Stefan Feld. This is game number. Which one in is it 11? 14, sorry. Game number 14 in the Aliyah Big Box series, which for the longest time was sort of the, like, I feel like there was a span of a few years where the Aliyah Big Box was sort of the must-have game every year. Whatever game was going to come out in this series was the game that everybody went to buy. Probably started from Puerto Rico and then
Princess of Florence. Oh gosh, yeah.
Bora Bora is in there as well.
Bora Bora's so good too.
Yep, Bora Bora is real good. In the Year of the Dragon. Actually, there's a lot of Felds in that series. Notre Dame.
Puerto Rico's number 7.
Yep. Yeah. So the first one was terrible, if I recall correctly. Like the first one in that series was just real bad. I actually don't remember. Hang on, I'm going to look this up because now I'm really curious. Oh, Ra was the first one. That's right.
Not terrible.
So that one's not terrible. Which one was it?
I don't like Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame was in there.
See, I like Notre Dame, but I understand why some folks don't.
It just doesn't do it for me.
Chinatown was? Holy cow. I apparently haven't looked at this list in a long time. I think of Chinatown as being in a much bigger box than that would have been. So, but yeah, there's a picture right here. Interesting. All right. So there you go. So this one was part of that series. So very well regarded, although fairly late in the series. Actually very late in the series. This is, yeah, like we said, 14, and there's only been 3 more since then, including Puerto Rico with the expansions, which I feel like is cheating. Feels like that shouldn't get 2 entries, but whatever.
No, I agree with that.
All right, so this is the game where each player has 2 dice, and those dice are basically your action points, right? And the number on the die gets to determine what you're going to do. It's either take a tile or play a tile, or sell it for workers, or sell goods that correspond to the number, right? Those are the 4 things.
Yep, take a tile, place a tile. Yep.
Okay. I feel like the thing. Yeah, I don't know you at all.
Don't pay attention to the chat. Keep talking.
I always pay attention to the chat. This is my thing, damn it.
I don't know you at all. Who are you responding to?
Brandon, I don't know what his number one game is. He's picking on me in the chat right now.
Oh, poor Brandon. I don't know Brandon's number one game. I did know that Patrick's was Glory to Rome, though.
Oh, wait. It's on the tip of my tongue. I totally know.
Just
it.
keep talking.
I
Jeez, you're not
am
supposed to be paying attention to the chat.
I hate it. All right, fine. So I feel like Castles of Burgundy was the game that was sort of Feld trying to figure out how to do dice without it feeling like dice, right? Like I feel like this is the first game where he was sort of trying to leverage dice into being a thing that wasn't all luck. So no matter how bad you rolled, and do you guys think that he succeeds with that in this game? I mean, I'm going to guess I know Kimberly's answer, but I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks about this. Does it mitigate the luck well?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, because
it's got the little guys you can buy.
Yeah. No, I think the game's all about luck mitigation.
Daniel, I just noticed your breasts. Aww.
Nice.
I feel so loved.
I had to think about it for a second. I was like,
Yeah.
What's happening? Am I excited?
it was like there was like a nipples joke.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Somewhere.
I mean, this is weird phrasing. My apologies. Back on topic. I just saw the G2S shirt.
Gotcha. All right. So you think the game is all about luck mitigation? What do you mean by that, Daniel?
Well, no. I mean, I think that's, dice are luck-based ways to select your actions, but you've got options and you've got the workers to offset that luck, right? So it's about putting yourself in a position where, yes, you have to choose based on what the dice give you, but you also, if you're playing right, you're giving yourself enough options based on what comes out that you're never stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you're constantly mitigating the luck.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point. I wonder, and I think Brandon, I feel like we didn't get our baseline. I'm sorry. We usually do this when we do a deep dive on where we start our conversation on our opinion of each game. We know I've said 4 times this show what Kimberly's is. We know that this is your number one, right, Kimberly? I
mean, it's up. I don't have a thing. It's up there. It's one of my most played games.
You need a thing.
I don't really rank my games. It's one of my favorites.
Okay, so it's one of your favorites. How about you, Daniel?
What was the question? So where would I rank it?
Yeah, where is this game? Like, what's your baseline opinion before the discussion goes too far?
It's like the top 15 maybe.
Okay.
Only because the What's Your Game stuff that I've played recently has pushed everything down.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's definitely like top 20.
Gotcha. Patrick?
I'm not an expert. I played this 4-player at Origins a couple of years ago and hated it. It drug on forever. And then didn't play it again for a long time. And then I started playing it online and async and kind of discovered it again just recently. So maybe half dozen plays, dozen, I don't know.
Are we including the play a couple weeks ago where I clubbed you like a baby seal? Are we counting that one? All right.
Yes.
Just checking. All right, cool.
That is the last game of Castles of Burgundy I'll ever play.
Nice. Brandon, how about
anyway.
Yes. Of the 500 or so games in my collection, it's in the top 500.
You are the man.
Love you too, Brandon.
It's the middle of the road for me.
Okay. So if you were to give it a Cubist rating, just before we start.
I would play it, I guess.
You'd call it play it? Okay. I think this is one of the few games in my collection that player count means everything as far as my opinion of it. If in 4-player, this is a forget it for me, for sure. Yeah, I do not ever want to play this game.
Far too AP of people, I think.
No. You actually have me wrong on that. It's not about the length of the game at all. The 4-player, and we'll actually talk about, I don't think the game scales properly for player count. And we'll come back to that as we dive in a little deeper. I hate it at 4-player. I love it at 2-player, and it's fine.
My favorite as well.
2, it's fantastic at 2.
Yeah, 2 is great. 3 is fine, but and like the game that I beat up on Patrick and I think it was Mike, who's in the chat right now, right, Mike?
Yeah, he was.
Yep, I beat up on these two a couple weeks ago when we played a live game over a hangout. And that was fine, and I didn't mind that. But I think that it's a play it at 3, a buy it at 2, and a forget it at 4. So, all right, so there's our baselines. And the luck mitigation thing, I think, feels fairly accurate. Although I think that sometimes if it can feel like you get stuck wasting turns getting workers. If you get a couple of bad rolls in a row and you are forced to burn workers to do a thing, or at least you feel like you are, it can feel that way. I think that's an issue that I think the luck is still there. It just isn't as bad.
That's what luck mitigation is, though, right?
Well, I don't know. Is it? I would argue that luck mitigation, at least the way that I usually use it, is that luck. It appears to have luck, but it can be easily dealt with.
Right.
I don't think that that's always the case on Castles of Burgundy. I think that sometimes you can just get screwed by the dice.
You can.
So,
I mean, I played an online game of Castles of Burgundy with MJ from Dice Breakers, 2-player, and the auto rolling Boiteja thing rolled 15 times in a row. I rolled double 5s. Not once, not twice, 15 times. It was to a point that we're both tracking it and just laughing, but I still destroyed him.
Yeah.
I was able to mitigate it and plan around and still make it work and chain my things to work together. I ended up winning by like 65 points.
Could that be that he's just terrible at the game? I'm just throwing that.
No.
I'm just throwing that out there because I mean, and also, did you buy lottery tickets? Because
I was going to say,
I should have.
Some of the player boards are also, if you're playing with different player boards.
Yes.
Yeah, some are definitely better than others.
Yes,
a lot
this
more.
Is valid.
Yeah.
But I probably took that out of order. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. This is a good topic. We can bounce around a little bit. I don't care. What makes a board better or worse? I want to hear this.
I think it depends on who the player is. So if I play with my 8-year-old, who actually Castles of Burgundy is one of her favorite games, we will usually all play the same board. So play the number 1 board, which is not a board I would ordinarily play.
That's the basic board with like the river going through the middle, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a basic board. It's easier to build out from, and the areas are all smaller. So there's not going to be any massive point swing from one type of completion. I think the key difference, though, is the layout for that one. It makes it a little bit easier, but lower scoring, depending on how you play it. But there are some of them that they'll have massive, all of the buildings are in one field. So if you can complete that, or not all of them, however many the max buildings are, 8.
Well, there's 8 different buildings.
Yeah,
right.
So the 8.1 or the 8 hex one is a big point swing when you can complete it.
If you can
need
complete
to be
it.
able to have all different buildings unless you get that science tile.
And that science tile is one of the issues that I have with 4-player. Like that specific tile is why
it's gonna come out.
Because it's in a 4-player game, it is guaranteed to come out.
Because every tile comes out. Yep, I know where you're going with this.
Yep, and that's why I give it a 4-player forget it. Because you need that unpredictability in those science tiles to prevent people from gaming for a specific strategy. It is. I
mean, you can still easily take that tile.
Right.
Just somebody can be planning for that tile, and very easily can somebody else stop them from getting it.
Right.
Very easily?
Yes.
There's a chance that
I'd say there's a solid, if you're really concerned that somebody has a heavy strategy that's dependent upon one particular special tile, you just make sure they're not first.
Okay, but then is that the presence or the guaranteed presence of that tile, is it now railroading the entire table's play towards either getting or preventing that tile?
So. No, I don't even pay attention to that tile. There are other ones that I like even more that I think are huge point swings. Like the one that gives you bonuses for the different goods shipped. That one you can get tons of points.
Yep.
There's another one that I also love to get, and I can't remember what it is right now.
There's the animal scoring one that adds a point per animal. That one's
pretty good. I mean, there are a few of them that are like you get that tile and you have a good chance of winning.
Okay, so let's expand my point to not just that one science tile, but the fact that you're guaranteed to have every tile in the game in a 4-player game. I think my point still stands. It just is broadened to, instead of only one thing being, if anybody can plan for one of these tiles, pick your flavor, whichever one it is, then you're either forced to alternatively game towards a different tile or think about hate buying. I don't even, it's not hate drafting. Sort of, except drafting. You know what I mean? To prevent that tile or whatever. It's just, now this feels too meta to me. It feels like we're getting away from actually pursuing your self strategy and just pursuing an anti-strategy.
I don't know. I still think there are enough
part of the game, though.
Yeah. I was going to say, I still think there are enough of those kind of really special tiles that it's not all about one or two, right? There's like 3 or 4 that you can kind of sculpt a strategy around.
I think there's at least 4, if not more of them, that you can sculpt a strategy around. But I also really think it's easy to mitigate.
Sure.
Allowing somebody to do that. I think it's really obvious when somebody's going for us. Once you've played it a couple of times, we'll play. Daniel, Matt, Benji, and I have played it online a bajillion times, and we know each other well enough, and we all know the game well enough that nobody's getting away with any of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to let you build an empire and then complete it. Somebody's going to make sure you can't.
Okay. So then it comes. All right. And I don't want to dominate this. Let me pass this off to Patrick, because Patrick was going to weigh in with something else there. What do you think? What do you think about all this, Patrick? Because you haven't played this as much. Did you get that vibe that we're talking about?
Yeah, good word. I'm sorry. My weakness with Castles of Burgundy is I don't watch the other players enough and see what they're doing and do, if you want to call it hate drafting or whatever you want to call it, reactive playing, and that's where I tend to lose. And it's harder online for me to do that. I think by switching between the player boards.
Yep.
But I think that's definitely a huge part of the game that I need to improve on. And that's not just this game, any game, but that's the next level. Is, I've now learned, I've played it enough to now know what to look for. Like I like the pasture car, a yellow thing, tech that lets you put anything in the pasture, because I think that's a cool tech to get. Or the ones that give you extra thing for you to get pastures. And if I don't get that, then I kind of avoid getting the pastures, because then I don't think they're worth it. So I'm starting to learn how the pieces work together, but I still haven't gotten to that next level of skill of watching everybody.
Okay. Brandon,
how about that too? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. What do you think about this?
About
my argument about dominant strategies or whatever.
I
know.
Sorry.
Brandon took a slight nap.
I just wanted you to reiterate what it was we were really talking about.
Yes.
Dominant strategies. There are tiles that are more powerful than everybody. Everybody knows they're there.
Well, everybody meaning experienced players.
Yes. Everybody knows that they're out there. They're going to need, they want to go for them. And generally, most of the time you do it, even if that's not something in your strategy, at least what I've seen, kind of. But that may be part of the whole hate drafting thing that you don't like. I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly,
honestly, I'm to have a hardline opinion about it too. That's fine.
Do I think they're there? Yeah, there are strategies there that are stronger than others.
Okay.
There, how about that?
Yeah, that works. I guess it's just, I think, and maybe this is just one of those things where some players' play styles and taste in games are going to skew away or into that sort of thing, right? Like and this maybe that's what this is too. Maybe this is a game, or I guess this is a good conversation point. Is this a game that is unfriendly to new players when playing with experienced players, right? Like you can't, and I've always argued that one of the marks of a good game is when good players will always beat bad players, right? Like if you can win a game even though you suck, then that's generally not a great game, right?
Right. It's something unbalanced.
right? Or there's too much
Or too
luck
much
or
luck.
something, right?
Mhm.
Or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so I'm not trying to argue that good players shouldn't win more often than not. But if the game is too unfriendly to new players, that can be a barrier to entry too, right? Like Kimberly is, I know she's a ninja at this. She beat the hell out of me in the Feld Jewelry thing that took until like May to finish, by the way. It was the worst 1 month contest ever. I think, yeah, but she beat the hell out of me. And so I know she's really good at this game from firsthand experience. I have no problem with that.
Especially a 2-player.
Yeah, and I am not an inexperienced player. I probably have, I know I'm definitely not as experienced as you folks, but I probably got like 20 or 30 plays under my belt total, which is not bad.
That's roughly what I have too.
Really? That's it?
Maybe
It might
40.
be more than I've played on the table.
Okay. Well, I've only ever played online, I think maybe 3 times total. Everything else would have been table.
If we count online plays, it's probably close to 50 or something.
Well, and that's what I was talking about is total plays.
Total plays. I'm 7 away from 100 of this damn game.
Wow.
And I've not figured out why I do it so often.
You are the least enthusiastic person of the 5 of us about this game, and you have the most plays. You've got more plays than like any 2 of us put together.
Yep.
How
Only
does
4
that
of them
work?
on the table, no less.
Oh, so you play online all the time.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Yet I don't think I've played with you online.
And shut up. Felduary still isn't over? What?
I don't think
Well-
Kimberly ever finished the last game.
It's not Kimberly who wouldn't finish the last game. It was Kimberly's person.
What the crap is that? I don't know.
I mean,
Boo.
Oh, was it you and Jordan? Was that?
no. Jordan and I played. I fucking killed. Oh,
One.
Kimberly, the one rule.
Wow. Daniel, can you edit that out?
No, it's an unedited version of a
Daniel,
live stream.
It's now there for all the
This
world
one
to hear.
has to be the slightly edited version.
I gotta go back and listen to this now. Thanks, Kimberly.
We can't have words.
Wow.
We cannot have words that rhyme with duck in this show. We've talked about this.
No.
I can't.
we just said a lot about
I'm going to be
luck, Bill.
totally embarrassed.
We did see a lot about luck. It's true.
Yes.
Who was it?
I love you.
Who was supposed to be the last? Was it
Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, I thought so.
Mhm.
All right. Fine. All right. So, experienced players are always going to beat up on inexperienced players. Is that a thing? And is that okay?
Not always, but usually, yes.
There's definitely an advantage for people
Yes,
who know
there
what
is.
tiles are in there and will come out for sure.
Yes.
But
Okay.
there is still luck in this game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's still okay. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a parallel to a different game really fast. One of the reasons that I fell out of love with Through the Ages, the first edition, okay, was that every game, certain leaders were going to come up, and every game you could plan for those leaders, and because of the way that the game worked, if you didn't draft that card away, you just get rolled. And as soon as they released the expansion, the print and play expansion for it, it saved the game for me, because then there was randomness in which leaders were in any given game. So this might just be a predilection of mine, right? Like that I just don't like games that are that have predefined paths, so to speak.
Sure.
Like I want this game to be more pointility than it. And no, that's the wrong term. I want it to be more.
You want more
variable.
victory?
More variable than it is.
Non-deterministic.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, Through the Ages is what I was talking about, Matt. So I don't know. All right. So moving on. What makes this game great at 2 players? That's I think the next thing that
It flows so well at 2 players, and you can play it so quickly. You can play it in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's very snappy. It's also it's easier to keep track what other people are doing, right? Like I think I'm much better at it at 2 than I am at 4, because at 4 I'm just not paying attention to anybody but myself. But at 2 I can just look across the table and be like, oh, you just took that mine I wanted, so now I have to kind of rethink what I was going to do.
Mhm.
So it's easier to keep track of all the information that's out there. And yeah, it's just the turns are super fast.
okay.
You're just really sneering there, Patrick.
I can't.
Oh, no.
I can't. I cannot imagine getting even. I mean, maybe it's just that I don't play the game often enough. But a 45-minute game of that seems like that would be mind-numbingly fast. I guess I just don't play as fast as other people.
You could do it in under half an hour if you both
Oh,
Half
yeah,
of it is the
45
setup.
minutes is the normal.
Holy hell.
Like, I think I played a 2-player of Castle of Burgundy in like 25 minutes because I have the I have an insert that makes setup super fast.
That's
Okay.
You're
Yeah, I
doing everything
guess.
out of the insert. There's no setup.
All right. I have things in little, I have like each type of tile in its own little dish.
Yeah.
But I don't have, I don't know. Maybe Kimberly has picked on me numerous times about being a slower player. Like she is just
it's not just you.
right.
No, she gets on everybody's case about being slow. in
Okay.
every game.
Yeah, Daniel knows.
I think it's more along the lines of you are just an abnormally fast player of things.
Yeah, I like the forward plan quite a bit, and then just.
And then just execute.
I like
always have
too. I
multiple-
Apparently still not fast. It's fine. I'm only grumbling a little bit. Damn it. That's
Look at
fine.
your hairs are so pretty, Bill.
My hairs are so pretty. All of them are.
There's the phrase, play a freaking card.
Yeah. Yes.
How we learn.
Freaking is the appropriate
That's
word.
the right
Thank
word
you,
to say on
Patrick.
the air. Yes,
That's definitely the one that Kimberly says.
that's.
Boy.
Look,
You know-
it's a miracle we've made it this long before I switched up.
She looks like the sweet innocent one, right? And yeah, no. All right. Fine.
Did you see
All right.
my freckles?
No, I did not. Damn it. All right, so moving on. And so it flows really well at 2. Is that the idea? It's just the pace?
Snapping, yeah.
Okay.
And just the availability of information tracking, right? It's just much easier to keep up
Okay.
with everything that's happening on the table.
Are the number of tiles that come out, it feels I don't know.
It's
like-
tighter.
Yeah, it's really tight, right? Like there's
Well,
some
and that's part of why it's so quick too, is you have less to process, right?
Mhm.
You have less
Okay.
to choose from, so you have like your options are narrower.
okay.
There's less AP.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. That I think I definitely agree with. Because because there are, what is it? It's 2 tiles per depot it's player count per depot, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's 4 per depot in a 4-player game, then you have 24 potential choices, whereas there's a grand total of 12 in a 2-player game. And then the percentage gets reduced
Mhm.
faster between each of your turns. I can see that. Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense to me. I never thought
set
about
up
that.
at every round, right? Was your
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think putting out that doesn't feel like that's too big of a deal to me anyway, because
Yeah.
it's just you're grabbing 4 tiles instead of 2 out of that little dish and scattering them around or whatever. But yeah,
Probably makes a difference, but not a huge one.
I would. Yeah, I guess. And I never, I've been a big proponent of thinking about games in terms of cognitive load lately, right?
Mhm.
Like, how much does this game force me to process in ways that are not intuitive? And some games do it a lot more than others. And I think you're right. Like this game at 2 players is a light enough load that it doesn't hurt, right? So I get that. Brandon, most of your games, are they at 2, 3, or 4 players that you've been playing?
Since what 90 of those are online, I don't think it really matters. Asynchronous play time is of no issue to me. I enjoy seeing all of the tiles. I think it allows you to make not make better choices, but I think it allows you more choices to make, and it allows for a little more exploration. Whereas with 2 players, you're more limited.
Okay.
Makes sense.
All right. I guess I can see that.
I
I think
don't play games to see how fast I can play them. I never have. So 4 players at this don't bother me. I've sat and played it for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right, but for
Get
us,
her,
like,
Brandon.
Do it again.
for us, Castles of Burgundy 2 players is a viable like after work midweek game, whereas with
Mhm.
4, I don't think it would be.
No, yeah.
Right, so it becomes a go-to for us at 2 players.
Yep.
Which is cool. We're not like speed playing it, but
And I will say this, that it's probably, I think I like Bora Bora slightly better as a 2-player game.
Or a lot.
it's such a different game though. But
Yeah, but it feels similar-ish on the surface, right? Like, because it's got the dice manipulation and using the dice to do different things and yada, yada, yada. I mean, the way that you actually use the dice is completely different, but it's the same. It feels like it feels like Feld going, okay, I want to do this again because I had 2 ideas, right? And I enacted the first one, and now I'm enacting the second one. So I don't think they are. So Matt in the chat saying they're basically the same game. I don't think I agree with that.
No, he's just trolling Daniel from a Twitter incident last week or the week before.
Gotcha.
He doesn't actually think that. He's just being a butt.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. There is
I'm gonna let it go. Go ahead. Move on. Don't get me started. Go on.
I said
Paul
butt is better.
Paul in the chat asked which Felds do we enjoy more, and I think he's asking us. I now all of my confidence on who is asking who in the chat is gone, but I'll assume that Paul's talking to us. Favorite Feld around the table, starting with Daniel. I'll just go left to right.
Trajan.
Kimberly.
Yep. Castles of Burgundy, Trajan, and Bor.
All 3 of those. All right, Patrick.
I'd have to say Castles of Burgundy.
Okay. Brandon, sorry.
The sad thing is I'm going to say Castles of Burgundy as well.
Okay. And for me, it's Amerigo. I will be that guy. I love Amerigo.
Amerigo's good.
Amerigo, yeah.
Amerigo's one I always forget about because it's a different box size.
Yeah. And it's
all the others, and it
like
doesn't sit with my Felds. Like all my Felds are on one shelf except for Amerigo and La Isla because they're different.
Sure.
Weird boxes.
Well, and Amerigo doesn't feel anything like any of the other games, right? Like it's got a little bit of luck mitigation, I guess, because of the cube tower thing, but I don't think it feels anything like any of the rest of them. I think it's got more because everybody's dealing with the exact same pile of luck. You know what I mean? It feels like a slightly different.
You're all buying from the same pool.
Well, Macau does a similar thing, right?
Yeah.
I haven't played Macau, so I can't.
Macau's great. So I think of Felds as being like you've got 2 major elements with all of his games. It's a unique action selection mechanism, and it's how he deals with luck and like risk mitigation. So like if you frame it that way, I feel like it's not that different from the others, but they all do it a little differently.
Right. That's fair.
But
how about I'm gonna go negative. What's your least favorite Feld? Round the table, and I'll start, and we'll go backwards through the list this time. My least favorite is really I've been super vocal. I am not a Trajan guy. I call it Mario Party, the board game, because I think it's 87 mini games that are barely tangentially related to each other, and I suck at Mancala. So there's that. How about you, Brandon?
If I can't pick Castles of Burgundy for this one,
no, you cannot. Both your favorite and your least favorite.
Well, that kind of shows. Aquasphere, then.
Aquasphere, yeah.
It's just a jumbled, colorful mess of poo.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Patrick?
I don't know how many I've played. Maybe 3 or 4. I don't have enough of a baseline to make an opinion.
You're too nice. Kimberly?
No, I really don't. I mean,
I know. I'm just giving you crap.
Speakerstott once. I've played Macau.
Oh,
once.
I played Jorvik. There you go. I was having trouble thinking of other ones I played.
And you don't like Jorvik?
I did like Jorvik, actually.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Jorvik, not Jorvik, but yes.
I am American. It's Jorvik.
I know. I'm sorry.
You pronounced Speakerstadt correctly then.
Spiderstadt, yeah.
Spiderstadt. Yeah. How did I know that Daniel would correct somebody on that one?
We knew it was going to happen. I really, 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 really greatly dislike Cards of Burgundy. Oh boy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah. That should be our next
about
topic.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Daniel?
So Roma, maybe?
I haven't played that one either.
What's another one I don't like? It Happens is fine to play with kids.
Is It Happens the one where the circular discs and you like create a path basically?
No, it's
That's
my
that
first
part,
Feld. It Happens is you're rolling dice and you're placing them on cards. Like it's fine.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's kind of a cheap pick. I would say what else? Oh, In the Year of the Dragon.
See, that's in my top 3.
I need to play it again. When I was taught to me, I didn't realize what a kick in the family jewels was.
Yeah,
that's I wanted to curl up under the table and cry.
That's the punch me in the face, please, Mr. Feld game.
So, of all the Felds I've played, that's the one I enjoyed the least.
So
my wife likes
That's the one I need to play.
So I have a copy of it, but I haven't played it since I got it.
It's so good that Dan likes to murder you with that. That makes me happy.
Oh yeah. She's like, this is what my job is.
I get a lot of pleasure out of it.
I like that. I like that game a lot, but that's because I went into it with eyes wide open, like, "Oh, this game is a dick."
Yeah,
Okay.
I did not quite understand the level. And that was when I was first starting to get into Felds, and everything else I played.
No,
much
that's a terrible
friendlier.
first.
And it was like I had played Trajan and Castles of Burgundy, and this was at the FeldCon that I ran last summer. So I was like just jumping in, and yeah, that kicked my ass.
Gotcha.
But, I don't think it's a bad game. I need to play it again. But of the games that I have played, that was my least pleasurable experience, we'll say.
Gotcha. All right. Let's talk about the card game and the dice game and all that stuff. That I have never played any of them except base Castles of Burgundy, so I can't speak to any of the
Have any of us played the dice game? I've not played it personally.
No, I've not.
It's brand new. I don't think any of us.
It's
not out
game was the
here
dice
yet.
game. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
That was part of what I said when they. Yeah, I was like, but it is a dice game.
It
That
is.
was my comment too.
I have a personal bias against card game / dice game versions of perfectly good games in the first place.
Yeah.
The only one of those that I like is Nations, the dice game.
Roll through the ages.
I'd rather play through the ages. But I like, and that's not really even a fair comparison. Those are basically only the art style on the box is about the only thing that's the same. But yeah, Nations, the dice game, I like everything else that's a dice or card game version. I just instinctively would like, well, that's dumb because I already like the regular game, so I don't need that.
You would totally play a dice version of Gold West, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're really getting off topic now.
Okay,
We are. Nice attempt at a cheap plug, Daniel. I like that. That's good.
I gotta try.
That's good. Have you given it a working title? Is it
I was calling it Rolled West.
Rolled West? I like that.
It is currently under evaluation.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. I'm rooting for you.
Cross your fingers for me.
Okay. So tell you what, let's because we're at about the 1 minute mark or 1 hour mark, and I want to do a couple of quick plugs at the end of the show. And I don't
talk about the cards though.
I'm sorry, card game. Yes, you're right. Card
I
game.
say thumbs down for Castle Burgundy cards.
It's okay. It's missing the map. The challenge with it is that it still takes up a huge, if not more, table space.
It takes up more table space.
And the only benefit to it is I enjoyed it for its solo play.
That's what I've heard. I've not played it solo. I think it takes just as long to play as the real version, and it's just as large.
Right.
And it does.
I don't have a problem playing with myself, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, more bleeping. Gotta write down the time code.
I think he has pants on this time, though.
That's true. He didn't curse, unlike
No, but I mean, it is small. It fits in your quiver. I mean, it has a few pluses. I'm not at all giving it any reason to get it over the original, but it's not. I don't hate it.
I mean, it would maybe keep you warm for a minute if you burned it.
No, that's what Munchkin.
Even that long? There aren't that many cards
bad.
on there.
There's not that many.
That is between Munchkin and Cards Against Humanity. We all have enough home heating possibilities available for dirt cheap.
Yeah,
Got to
baby.
compact them real tight and then burn
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Make bricks out of them.
Yeah.
Brandon, have you played the card game?
No,
Haven't. Okay.
it looks like a big mess on my table. I don't want to play it.
That does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it, Jeff in the chat is saying that Cards of Burgundy is play solo.
Yeah, Matt too. Mhm.
Okay, I didn't catch
Yeah.
that. I was.
Patrick literally just said.
Patrick said it.
I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry.
Patrick literally just said it's fine
that-
for solo.
I was reading the chat at that time. Yeah, it's the playing with yourself. I got it now. There we
We
go.
love you, Patrick.
Holy
Yeah.
crap. Got it. Yes. So solo play is interesting to me.
Yes.
Like that might, but that's not enough of a reason to buy it for me
No.
because I have plenty of other games that I really enjoy solo that
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy another one that is already a table hog. Besides, I have 37 more games of Terraforming Mars I have to get through solo before the end of the year anyway. So I'm good on solo.
Oh my.
Well, every corporation on every map, I'm doing this.
Get it, baby.
That's going to happen. All right. Final thoughts on Castle of Burgundy. We will start with our quote unquote special guest / podcast producer / fanboy. Give us, once again, revisit your Cubist rating on this and give a quick explanation as to why.
It's definitely a buy it. I consider Castles of Burgundy a collection essential. if you're at all into Euros. If you're not, then yeah, don't bother. But no, it's definitely a buy it.
Okay. Very good. Kimberly?
Buy it. It's one that I buy for people's gifts regularly still. So.
Oh, that makes sense. There you go. Patrick?
I would say buy it too, although, it's really accessible online, and I hardly ever play it in real life anymore. So,
all right. Brandon?
That would be me. I'd say it's a play it online. Unless you're just totally adverse to playing games online, there's no reason to own it.
I think we need to add a new line to the back of the t-shirt that says play it and then play it online.
Play it online?
Yeah.
We're going to end up having
you can play cards online too.
It's going to be a really long t-shirt.
Yeah, so Teespring, the site that I go through for all the merch, now has wall tapestries as a potential. I wish I was kidding, but that's legitimately a thing we can do now. We might do a wall tapestry.
What I was trying to think of, though, is what game does this kind of better? Is what I've been trying to... other than a Feld, because I'm not going to go to a Feld. We've got to go outside of it. There's got to be something that does this better.
That does what better?
The
you have
dice,
to be more specific.
Using dice to buy things and build something. How about that? Because that's what this game is all about.
Dice has action points.
Grand Austria Hotel does a pretty good job with dice as action selection. There's a bunch of games that do dice as action selection.
Which is another game. Suddenly, the game you don't want to play at 4.
Le Grand Ha, I like it for.
Le Grand Ha,
I don't like.
No,
I need to play that. It's still sitting here.
I only played it
really
once.
good.
That was actually an honest question. It wasn't me being a smart ass.
I know there's a few out there. I don't know if there's any that do it quite as well.
Marco Polo.
Yeah,
Signoria's.
There you go.
Marco Polo's good.
All right.
Yeah, I think Marco Polo does it well.
I want to round this out. For Castles of Burgundy, for me, the rating of this game, like I said in the beginning, depends on your player group. If you commonly play at 2 players or you see yourself being in 2-player situations a lot, this is a buy it. Absolutely. If you have a 3 or 4 player game, this drops to a play it and maybe a forget it if you are constantly at 4. I don't think this game is good at 4 players. I think it's well designed. I just don't think the flow of play. And again, my issues with the every tile, every game thing bothers the hell out of me. So I would say that if you're a couples gamer, this is for sure. This should be on your shelf. Absolutely. If you are not a couples gamer, then I think this becomes, I'll just say, we'll call it a play it. I'll be a little more forgiving than I want to be. I'll say it's a play it if you're not just 2-player. There you go. All right. Well, that was fun, except for the cursing. Kimberly,
that was also fun, Bill.
It was fun.
I'm just gonna get blocked from YouTube.
All right. You know what?
I've been banned. It's fine.
Let's come up with something fun for as in celebration of Kimberly having to give us our first actual editing moment. Use the hashtag #PunishKimberly on Twitter over the next 7 days.
No,
hang on.
No, don't do that. No, Bill.
Give us suggestions. Give us suggestions.
I think that's already a hashtag, Bill.
That's not going to bring the attention you want.
No, it'll be fun to watch for like a hot minute. So no, all right. Fine, whatever. If people do it, I take no responsibility. Just don't.
My boyfriend is very tall.
Don't tag Kimberly
and it's
in
only
that.
Just like muscles.
He's all gristle.
He's all gristle. Okay, we're gonna do plugs for days here. So we'll start with you guys. Daniel, if people want to know more about you and what you do, where would they look?
I'm on Twitter. DNLNWMN is my name without vowels. Yeah, hit me up. I'm there all the time. I live there. I'm paying rent on Twitter.
There you go. Kimberly?
That is me. This week I know where I am, and I'm not going to do...
Not telling everybody your Twitter handle because we don't want...
No arena area. I am at KJ Revia on Twitter, and you can also see me talking about Granite Game Summit at G2 Summit, where I do not use the F word.
Oh, sure. So you just do it here. Thanks. That's great.
I'm going to do it on my own as well, but not as a responsible adult when it comes to Granite Game Summit, which everyone should attend and buy tickets to. We are just tomorrow announcing our first big designer, Gil Hova. So,
nice.
With Gil.
Nice. By the way, Mike in the chat has suggested the hashtag bleep Kimberly. I like that just
that's
fine.
Much better.
That's better. So there we go. There's our official hashtag. Let's use hashtag bleep Kimberly. And maybe we'll pick a random.
Not going to end up with BDSM things.
We'll pick a random. We'll do this, Twitter folks. If you listen to this in the next 7 days, use the hashtag bleep Kimberly, and you come up with something funny or creative or whatever. We'll pick a random person that put something awesome in there, and we'll send out a prize courtesy of the Cubist. I've got a couple things sitting in my back pocket that I've been waiting to give away. So there you go. Hashtag bleep Kimberly. All right, Patrick. Tell us.
You can find me at bleepkimberly.com.
Are you on GoDaddy right now?
He beat me to it. Damn it.
I am on What Did You Play This Week podcast as a contributor and conversationalist, and on Twitter as @OverTheHillier. Thanks for having me.
I'm always happy to have you on the show, Patrick.
Thank you.
Brandon?
Yes, Bill.
Tell us about stuff and things.
I just like making him ask things.
Okay.
You can find me on the Twitterverse as @VacaBCK or @WDYPTW. Be sure to check out the website, WDYPTW.com, for all sorts of good audio and written stuffs.
Indeed. All right. And plugs for days for this show, really fast. First off, all the content that you see here can be found at thecubistpodcast.com. Stuff for your ear holes can be found at cubistpodcast.com/feed or in the iTunes store. However you want to do that. Let's see. We are a proud member of Punchboard Media. Visit punchboardmedia.com. Go ahead.
Bring something to the table.
We do.
Sorry, you can't say it that way.
We do indeed.
Bring something to the table.
Yes, we do. So visit punchboardmedia.com.
Kimberly just brings her dirty mouth.
Yes.
Some of it's bad.
To the table. Okay. A couple other quick plugs. Don't forget, please, when you visit thecubistpodcast.com, there is a Patreon link up at the top of the thing. We'd love your support. I will be sending out the thank you cards for the top level supporters within the next couple weeks. So hang in there. I know that there's one or two people that have those coming. I would love to see more merch too. If you go to the again to the website up at the top, there is merch including the Banana Pants shirts, which are currently waiting for a minimum order. So hit those up, get one of those. They're cheaper than the Cubist shirts, so you can get those are your budget conscious versions of those. And then I think I announced this last week, but I want to hammer on this again. I am going to be doing the Extra Life Gaming Marathon on Halloween. I'll be doing that October 31st, starting at 10 a.m. and going until November 1st at 10 a.m. I will be doing 24 hours straight gaming. 12 hours of that from 10 to 10 will be at my game table, and we'll be live streaming parts of that. And then the other 12 hours will be online. I'm working on getting the picture-in-picture video gamer rig thing figured out for the computer, so that way I can live stream that stuff too. We might do that via YouTube or Twitch. I haven't decided which one, but we've got.
You want me to live stream playing anything, Bill?
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I'll tell you right now.
Daniel knows what happens.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
It gets salty.
No, but that's a selling point in this case. Like, we'll do the live stream and all bets will be off. There you go. So if you want to hear Kimberly swear without shame, maybe we'll get her in the live stream. So if you want to support the Extra Live thing, I have a Cubist team set up. You can join the Cubist team at extralife.org if you'd like, and then just search for the Cubist. That way you can do our fundraising, help us get to, I have a goal set of $1,000. I'd love that. If you can't do the marathon, then please think about donating. You can go and search for the Cubist or search for Bill Corey Jr. on there. Or I made it even easier for you starting today. You can go to billcoreyjr.com, the same as my Twitter handle, and that will redirect you right to the Extra Life page, so you don't have to do any searching. So just go to billcoreyjr.com, and you can find all that stuff. And I have links in the show notes for all of this stuff already. So
we should say that there are 3 fantasy board game league teams that need your votes this week.
No, there's
I have to go vote against Bill. That's right.
Yes,
you got to vote for Bill because we can't let Jake win again.
yes,
I need
that's
some
right.
help.
I'm up against the #1 guy this week. I need all the votes we can get. So spread the word.
Which team is his?
His is Viva Genova, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that
Daniel.
one.
Yeah.
No, I just vote for the games I like. That's all.
Yeah,
Well, that doesn't work.
no,
Yeah, that's not how that
seems
works at all.
ridiculous.
Patrick would get
That's,
no votes then.
That's not how that works at all, Dan. Daniel, former podcast producer, thank you so much for
Yep, you're welcome.
Damn it. No, thanks everybody for being on the show. This one was a lot of fun. Next week, we have heavy games. Help me out, Brendan. I know we have Clay Ross from Capstone Games as one of the 2 guests. Who's the other one? Help me.
Joe Salin from The Good, the Board, and the Ugly.
Yes,
Will
we
be
have.
joining us. And also, oh my gosh, why will I not remember the Long View. There you go.
There you go.
Give me a second.
There you go. So Clay and Joe are going to be our guests next week, and we're going to talk about all the heavy stuff that is so near and dear to my heart. I'm really geeked for next week. This is going to be my
Heavy
jam.
stuff I never get to play.
I know. So everybody have a great week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you for listening, /watching, /donating, /patreoning, /buying merch, /whatever. We appreciate all of your support. Spread the word. We will talk to you all again very soon. Have a great week.